Oh, thank you for coming out today. This feels great. I'm excited. So, when I was coming to my talk, my friend Jason asked me, "Are you ready?" And I said, "Sort of." I started thinking, sort of is such an interesting thing to say. It is harmless, really, and it doesn't really mean anything. But after certain things, sort of means everything. Like after, "I love you," or "You're going to live." And sort of is just a terrible response for certain questions. My coworker once asked me, "Am I getting fired?" I said, "Sort of." So, my name is Tirth, and I'm here to talk to you about what leaders can learn about storytelling from stand-up comedians. Also, I'm a stand-up comedian, but sort of. So, stories connect us. We all love stories. Stories transcend through time, they break cultural walls. For leaders, storytelling is not just an essential skill, it is a form of rhetorical argument. Now, and mastering this ability for leaders can help inspire people and bring them together towards building a better future. And in today's landscape, nothing is more pivotal than this. When we talk about stand-up comedy, it has always been around, and it is at the backdrop of our socio-cultural commentary. Stand-up comedians have become the masters of the rhetoric. Look at political satire today. We are relying more and more on comedians like Seth Meyers, Stephen Colbert, for not just sources of amusement, but for actual sources of news and information. So I want to explore with you what attributes leaders can learn about storytelling from stand-up comedians. Now, to do that, I want to drive your attention to this. Andrea Greenbaum wrote about stand-up comedy as a form of rhetorical argument. She argued that comics construct credibility by creating a character or voice while negotiating timing to ensure maximum impact of their punchlines. What if we looked at it slightly differently? Leaders can construct credibility by creating a character or voice while negotiating timing to ensure maximum impact of their stories. I believe we can do this in 3 ways. Finding your voice through introspection and observation, forming a connection with your audience, and understanding timing. That being said, let's get into it. Finding your voice. To find your voice, you will need to truly introspect and observe on what matters to you. Now, take any Netflix stand-up special and dissect it. You will find that the voice of the stand-up comedian comes through their own personal interactions and experiences with the world. When I first got into stand-up, the most common piece of advice that was given to me was, write about what annoys you and write the hell out of it. So I wrote about my friend, Jason. Now, there's 6 of us trying to get into a Toyota Camry, and Jason was the last one in. He couldn't get the door to shut. So I said, "Hey, Jason, just get up and shut the door." Jason gets out of the car and shuts the door. So I left him there. Storytelling is like joke telling. It is knowing your punchline. It is knowing that every sentence from the first to the last is leading to some goal. In order to tell you that story, I had to introspect on what mattered to me in that story. Clearly not Jason. I left him there, and he couldn't make it today. So, in essence, tell the story that matches your worldview. Trust me, your audience is smart. They're going to immediately be able to tell when you're going to tell a story that does not match your actions, which leads me to my next point, forming a connection with the audience. Now, forming a connection with the audience is the single most important skill a stand-up comedian possesses. Now, I believe they do this by communicating with emotional fullness. What that means is that you as an audience know moment to moment how the comedian feels about what they're saying. Let me take an example. You come home after a long day of work and just unload on your partner, your best friend, your roommate, your pet, your couch, whatever works for you. You just unload and go, "Oh my God, you will not believe what Jason just did." Or, "Oh my God, you will not believe what Jason just did." Which of these communicates good news? When you bring this clear state of emotions to your conversations, it becomes easy for people to connect with you. I know, I agree, emotional fullness, communicating with that, especially on stage, very difficult, but it can be practiced. Which leads me to my final point. Understanding timing. Comedians pay special attention to the timing of their joke. Each and every pause, each and every minute is perfected to get maximum laughs. And they do this by practicing and rehearsing their sets to perfection. I assure you that no talk today was improvised. And personally, I practiced this talk so many times that my close friends can now give this talk instead of me. Well, sort of. So, if you have one takeaway from my entire talk, please let it be this: practice, practice, and practice. To recap, here are the three things we just discussed: forming a connection with the audience, finding your voice through introspection and observation, and third, understanding timing. Now, I genuinely believe that every one of you here today has a story that can inspire people and bring them together towards building a better future. So I urge you to tell your story. Now, stand-up comedians, being funny is not optional for them. It is a requirement to get into stand-up. For leaders, storytelling is no longer optional. It is a requirement. I leave you with this one final question. Did you learn something about storytelling? And if your answer is sort of, you're on the right track. Thank you.